This was the most brutal takedown Thanos had ever faced. Captain Marvel slammed into Thanos from above, then grabbed him by the throat and pinned him down. Banner burst out from underground and teamed up with Rhodey to hold Thanos' arms. Then Thor charged in. Without hesitation, he cut off Thanos' arm with Stormbreaker, because everyone had the same goal, the Infinity Stones. But when they looked at the gauntlet, they realized the truth. The Infinity Stones were already destroyed. Thanos had gotten rid of them. Banner exploded in anger, and Thor raised Stormbreaker, ending the life of the universe's most terrifying enemy. But their victory meant nothing. Everyone fell into despair, because without the stones, there was no way to bring back the vanished. They thought this was the end. 5 years later, inside an abandoned storage unit, a rat searching for food accidentally activated a quantum portal, and it released Scott Lang, who had been trapped inside the quantum realm. But when Scott returned, the world he knew was completely different. Missing person posters covered every corner. Then Scott arrived at a memorial site. Thousands of names were carved into the stones. But what shocked him the most was one name, his own. So Scott rushed straight to the Avengers compound. When Captain America saw Ant-Man standing there, he couldn't believe his eyes. Scott explained everything. 5 years ago, he had accidentally entered the quantum realm, but after escaping, he discovered something impossible. Time moved differently between the two worlds. 5 years in the real world was only a few hours in the quantum realm, which meant if they could control when they entered and when they left, they might be able to travel through time, go back to the past, take the Infinity Stones before Thanos, and save everyone who disappeared. There was no time to waste. They went to find Tony Stark, who was living away from the Avengers. But after hearing the plan, Tony immediately rejected it, because he had already calculated the risks. The chance of making quantum time travel work was almost impossible, and now that he was a father, he couldn't risk losing everything again. Seeing Tony refuse, Captain America had no choice but to leave disappointed. Next, they found Banner. Over the past 5 years, Banner had been trying to combine Hulk's strength with his own intelligence, and he finally succeeded, creating a version of himself with the best of both worlds. Although time travel wasn't his specialty, with Natasha encouraging him, Banner decided to give it a try. Meanwhile, Tony couldn't stop thinking about Scott's quantum data. Then he saw a photo of himself with Peter. The guilt came rushing back. So Tony asked Friday to run calculations using Ant-Man's data. The results shocked him. The time heist plan was actually possible. Tony immediately found Pepper and told her he had found a way. The next day, Banner built the time machine, but their first experiment failed badly. When Scott entered the quantum tunnel, his body started changing. First, he became a kid, then an old man, and finally, even a baby. Luckily, Natasha shut down the machine in time, and Scott escaped the disaster. Just as Captain America walked outside to clear his head, a luxury car suddenly pulled up. Tony was back. Seeing Steve looking miserable, Tony couldn't resist teasing him. But this time, Tony didn't just return to help. He brought a gift, the broken vibranium shield from Civil War. Tony had repaired it and gave it back to Captain America. Now the Avengers were finally ready. Their next mission was clear: go back in time and steal the Infinity Stones.